Question number 8 on Schoology. A guest on a talk show tends to receive many phone calls right after they are on the show, and then the calls become less frequent. The show has found that the number of callers can be represented by the equation y equals 20 times 53 hundredths to the d power, where y is the number of phone calls d days after the guest appears. And the question says, on the day of the show, how many calls should the guest expect to receive? All right, so this formula follows the format of y equals a b to the x. This is not a formula that can be found on your formula chart, so you are going to have to go into testing for the EOC knowing that. Remember that your a value is where we start, and your b value is your factor or your multiplier. So that's actually going to answer our question for us. On the day of the show, how many calls should the guest receive? So that's at the beginning, at time 0, and so that answer is going to be 20, and you're going to pop that in. On what day should the guest expect to receive 5 calls? All right, so this one doesn't have very friendly numbers right here. Our multiplier is not very easy to do. So we can actually go and type that into Desmos. And I've done that already. You guys should be typing it in as well. And we can change our zoom so that we can see that our beginning value at time 0 on the day that the show appears, all right, that's where our stopwatch begins. We have that 20. We can also see down here that our graph looks like it's touching the x-axis, but as we zoom in, we see that it's actually not touching, right, because we have our asymptote. And we want to know 5 calls. So I'm going to change this with my gear to a table. And we need to know that in our table, let me go make a note for you, our x and our y value. X is talking about the days, and I changed this d to an x because that's what our formula is used to. So that was our days, right? And then we have our y value, which is talking about the calls. And so that's what we're looking for when we have our table. So it says 5 calls. That 5 needs to be in the y column. If you want to continue extending your table, you can click on that x value and hit enter, but we didn't actually need to do that because I see the 5 right there. We do not have 5 exactly. This is the best approximation that we can come to whenever we're using the prediction tool or answering this question. So here, 5.618 is not quite 6 calls, so that's our answer. The question was how many days, so we need that 2. The 2 is in the days column. So we have our 2 in the days column, and so that would be our 2.